Therians. Alright, yeah, you're probably wondering, what are Therians? I'm redoing this video. I had a previous one that I had done that I really wasn't that proud of, partly because of the fact that I needed to do more research on the subject, and also that I was reading off of a script, and whenever I read off of a script, I always feel like that I just sound like too robotic and stuff, and being able to do these videos where it's just right off the top of my head, I can actually think more clearly and actually convey a message a lot better. So if you had seen my previous video, cool. If not, it's no longer around. So this is the redo of it. This is actually going to be a much better critique and story time about Therians and the Therian that I had met when I was a kid. So hope you enjoyed the video. I also want to mention really quick too that this video is not meant to be harmful in any way to people in the Therian community. So I just thought I would let everybody know that before I start the video and start this subject as well. Well, today's story time is going to be talking about just that, what Therians are, and that I also had possibly even met a Therian when I was a kid in the 90s, probably even before the term Therian was around, or even if it was even known as to what a Therian is. All right. So if you're unfamiliar, Therians are people who identify with an animal either spiritually or physically. So a lot of the time, Therians, you've probably seen a lot of Therian type videos on TikTok or YouTube, and it's becoming a little bit more, I guess, common now, because I really hadn't seen anything quite like this before other than furries. But furries are actually different from Therians. So furries are more people who like the anamorphic type characters, you know, like a lot of time, like say like mascot characters or animated characters that are in like a human form. So that'd be things like you know, Mickey Mouse, or if you remember like Darkwing Duck, if you ever grew up with that as a kid, the Animaniacs, DuckTales, you know, anything that where it's like an animal that kind of has like a human type form or personality, but like the head is you know, animal-like, you know, so like that. And there is a difference between Therians and furries, from what I understand, from what research I've done on the subject. A little bit more familiar with furries because I have friends who are furries. I'm not myself, but I don't really know anyone personally that is a Therian or even has claimed to be a Therian. So, anyways, about the story now of when I probably met someone who, like I said, was a Therian, and this was in the late 90s. I was a little kid back then, and one of my older brother's friends claimed he was a wolf. He would walk around on his toes, kind of like, you know, if you've seen how a wolf walks, their hind legs are kind of like up, supported like by their toes. He would, you know, walk like that. This guy didn't wear like a wolf tail or like any masks or anything like that like Therians do, because this was, again, like during the time when it either, if it was known, it was like frowned upon, or it just wasn't something that he did. Now, I think that he, from what I remember, identified as a wolf more, I can't really say more spiritually than physically. Might have been a little bit of two. And it also might have been because he also had believed in a past life that he was a wolf. But he would even have, like, you know, wolf-like characteristics and tendencies. And so what I mean by that is there was this one time a pigeon had gotten caught in the garage. Okay, his garage door was open, and a pigeon had flown in and had tried to fly back out of the garage through the back door, but the back door screen was closed in the garage. And when he noticed that there was a bird in the garage, he immediately runs over to where the garage door is, jumps up into the air, and puts his arms out, kind of like how a wolf would when it's trying to catch something. grabs the garage door and then pulls it down with his weight, and then he turns around really quick, and then he runs over to where the bird is, you know, caught against the screen door, and then he like pounces onto the bird, you know, kind of like catches it with his hands, kind of like how a wolf would with his paws and stuff, and it kind of like holds it up against his chest, you know, and stuff, because I don't know, the guy was kind of strange. I guess he wanted to keep the bird or something like that, but maybe he was trying to eat it. I don't know, since he had that kind of like wolf-ish like aspect about him and stuff. So kind of a weird thing, but yeah, I mean, the guy would do other things that were kind of like animal-like sometimes when he was angry or upset, he would growl. I don't think he ever howled at the moon, from what I remember, but I would not put it past him to do that, because the guy was kind of strange in that aspect, where he more than likely would do something like that. And no idea what the outcome of all this was, because older brother kind of fell out of contact with the guy, and you know, he wasn't really around for very long either. You know, he kind of like come and go from the house and stuff, since, you know, like it was my brother's friend. He had his own place too. There was a few times where he did stay longer at the house, you know, and we just do, again, strange things like that. Like he would kind of like eat like a wolf, kind of like not with a fork and knife. He'd kind of like, you know, stick his face down into a bowl and eat like that. From what I remember anyway, he would do stuff like that. But this guy even went as far as designing plans to try to build a wolf-shaped power suit. So that's like what's in the thumbnail, if you're wondering, the Iron Man-ish looking Iron Wolf, I guess you could say, power suit. And the way he had designed this thing actually sounded really, really awesome, especially hearing this when I was a kid. The version in the thumbnail that I'm working on building right now is a bit different. I put some hoses on the back of this power suit. The one that this guy had designed didn't have any exposed hoses. He wanted to be where it had very, very few weak points, and having exposed hoses would be a weak point. This is probably also why on Iron Man's suit you don't see any exposed hoses either, because if one of those hoses gets cut, it could lead to problems with the way the suit functions. But he also had it where it was completely self-sufficient and armored as well. So this is like, well, I mean, I think Iron Man, the comic books were around at the time. The movie wasn't, of course, because the movie came out in the 2000s. But it kind of really sounded very similar to the Iron Man suit, only wolf-shaped. And being a kid, I thought that was really cool, but the guy probably never got around to actually building it because of the fact that there is some impracticality with that, and also the cost of materials and how you would actually make that function with being inside of it. He also might have gotten the idea of building that from the earlier Fallout games, because Fallout 1 had come out around the same time that this guy was describing this wolf power suit to me. There was one other guy that I knew who was a friend of a friend who also could have been Therian. Now this guy actually did wear a tail, and ironically, it was also a wolf's tail. So it's like I've known two people who seemed to identify as a wolf, or at least take on wolf-like characteristics, and again, they're both kind of strange people. Now, the other guy who wore the wolf's tail, he also used to attend an anime convention called Nandosacon in Denver, Colorado. He went there for a few years, and he kind of like just stopped going. I don't know, maybe if he got bored with it, or if he moved, or something else happened. I have no idea. I didn't really know the guy that well. One of my friends was pretty close to him, so she might know what happened to this guy. But he also would do like the wolf-like characteristics and stuff, you know, especially at the convention, and try to act out or pretend like that he was a wolf. Now, I don't ever remember him self-professing that he was a wolf at all, so he might have maybe been more secretive about it. Like, didn't really want people knowing that he was that way, or maybe he was just embarrassed about it. I really have no idea, since I didn't really know the guy that well and would only ever see him at conventions. Again, kind of like similar build to the previous person that I talked about too, really like tall, lanky, extremely tall actually. He was like almost 7 foot, or he was slightly above 7 foot. I can't really remember. But like one of the funniest things that he would do is, I have this one friend who's like 4'8", 4'9", around there, and he would always like see her at a con, and he'd go over and he'd get down and stand like on his knees and then look down at her. So he was so tall that he could be on his knees and still be taller than my 4'9" friend. And I thought it was always so funny when he would do that, because of how tall he was, and he just did it just to be funny, you know. But yeah, he came with us to an anime con out in Nebraska. That's Anime Nebraska. That was really, really irritating is he was going to originally drive me and my friend out, because I had an older car. Really wasn't sure if the car could handle the trip or not. So he offered, okay, yeah, we can all use my car. And then the morning that we're leaving, okay, we all get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning. It's still dark out. This is in November, early November. So the daylight savings thing and all that I think it's already had changed by the time that the con was going to happen. So it's dark out, and I'm not completely awake because didn't get much sleep the previous night. Well, actually it still is night, but you get the idea. And he makes the excuse that he actually can't use his car after we've already loaded up the car with all of our luggage. He's all like, "Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot, since I'm borrowing this car, from my parents. They didn't really want me driving at far distances. They'll check the mileage and stuff." And I'm like, dude, you're an adult. I mean, you could just take the car anyway, and and make up, I don't know, maybe make up some excuse. I don't know how you make an excuse for that, especially if you're putting like nearly like 1,000 miles on a car, because it's 500 miles out and then 500 miles back, right? Yeah, so he makes an excuse as to like not use the car, so we have to use my car instead. And thankfully, my car actually made it out to Lincoln, and it made it back, and it seemed to do pretty well, But yeah, I was like worried about it like the whole time, because I was afraid that it was gonna have issues and stuff. But I thought that was kind of rude of him to like just drop that like last minute, where he could have just told us like ahead of time, like, hey, we're gonna have to use your car because X, Y, and Z, and reasons, and there you go. But yeah. Anyway, so yeah, really don't know, I mean, he could have been Therian and just like not really mentioned it to anybody. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got when it comes to like people who I've known who are possibly Therian, because it's the closest aspect I can think of, like the way their mannerisms, traits, and the way that they carry themselves, with being like ironically both wolves. So I don't know if a wolf is more common in the Therian community than like other types of animals. So if any Therians are watching this, maybe you can let me know in the comments. It'd be great. As always, I guess that'd be all. Don't forget, like, subscribe if you're not subscribed. Leave me a comment. Give me your thoughts and opinions and stuff like that. And yeah, I guess I'll see you around. I'll see you in my next video. As always, stay safe out there. And I guess this has been Vod Lovestein, and I'll see you later.